Hey Scorpio. So this is the one I've been waiting to talk about. It's so funny because, whether you've got Scorpio rising like I do, or if you're an actual Scorpio sun, one of our key rulers is Mars. And Mars went retrograde on the 6th of December and went direct literally yesterday on the 24th of February. Oh my goodness, what a time. I don't know how it's been for you. How are you doing? Are you holding up? Now, depending on what you've got going on in Leo and Cancer, if you know your chart, that is, I think that will depend a lot on how you've dealt with this Mars retrograde. But a lot of this reading for the next fortnight, so I'm working from I'll show you actually, I'm working from the 28th of February, when we've got the new moon in Pisces, and taking you on an astrological journey until the full moon in Virgo on the 14th of March, which is a total lunar eclipse. It's the first eclipse of the season of the year of 2025. Now, this is an interesting one because, when we get into eclipse seasons, emotions are much more heightened than usual. And I often find that world changes are coming in. Things seem to get faster. They seem to speed up. We tend to go through really big sort of decision-making processes. So it's interesting that our ruler has just kind of course corrected. So I want to talk about that, the impacts that it's had over the last couple of months, but what that means to us now that, Mars is direct again. Now, this fortnight forecast is taking place in the waxing moon phase. So, we are going from nothing and ending up at the fullness of the moon. And you can see it really depicted easily here at the first quarter point, which is around the 7th of March. This is when we're coming out of most of the darkness and coming more into the illumination. Obviously at the full moon we are completely at illumination, so there is a fullness of light. We can completely see what's going on. But as we're starting this fortnight, it is with a sense of a new beginning, with a sense of new patterns in our unconscious minds, in our hearts, not consciously there to be seen, but there is a seed of gentleness that will be nurtured over this time. This first quarter is an important point. This is halfway through, so we're on the 28th, the 7th, and the 14th. This is a point where we might realize that what we're working towards needs a bit of discernment so that we can move more quickly and with more passion towards what's going on for the full moon. So I'm going to be taking you through this. Now, there's a few points I need to mention, because I just think if you've been feeling out of power, this is the forecast where I'm going to sort of explain how to get back into your power. And I think that is the most important thing that we need to, that needs to be covered. How do you get back into your power? So let's have a look now. So here's where it's like laid out in a diary. So you can see these 3 Fridays. Now, I want to point out a few things. So, straight after the moon's going into Aries, there's a lot going on in the sign of Aries right now. In fact, Mercury's going into Aries. Aries is also another sign ruled by Mars, Mars being your ruler. We've also got this very powerful day with Venus going retrograde. I'll be talking about that a little bit later. But here's the thing that I think is the most exciting aspect. The 2 most exciting aspects, I would say, would be the new moon in Pisces because of its alignment with Mars, and also the sun in a trine with Mars. So let's have a look at this now and flesh it out a bit. So at the time of the new moon, I've got 2 charts here. So this is the chart for the new moon from a Scorpio perspective. So you can see which house it falls in. It's in the 5th house, on a whole sign basis. And you can see Mars, your ruler, or our ruler, up here in the 9th house. Which is, typically the place where we have an adventure, where we're learning lots. I remember when it went into my 9th house, last year. All of a sudden, I signed up for loads of online courses. I was downloading loads of online books, and I was reading voraciously. It was like I was so curious to learn more and more and more. And I was like going further afield. There was a lot of expansion during that point. And I thought it was going to continue. And of course, the moment that retrograde started to kick in, boy, oh boy, did I feel completely overburdened. It was like I couldn't stop. I couldn't carry on to expand. All of a sudden, my energy was coming in. Now, this is interesting as well because, with this area, with such a sort of Cancerian outlook, how you're expanding, you can only really expand where you can feel comfortable. If you come out of the comfort of your emotions, then it's time to kind of bring your boundaries up. If you think of a Cancerian or a Cancer like a crab, once it gets overwhelming, that the crab goes into hiding. And actually that's what I did for the last couple of months. No one's really seen me doing my forecasts at all. I felt like I had to go into hiding, and I felt very, very sort of blocked. The Mars energy, which is about movement and assertion and taking action. So yeah, if you felt blocked in your outward expression, this is a place where we write. This is a place where we broadcast and share our ideas. So you may well have felt that. For me, it really came on the 6th of December, literally just before that really big Mercury was retrograde, and before it kind of sorted itself out. So it was a real sort of double whammy for me. And I don't know what it was like for you, but yeah, this new moon, beautiful new moon in Pisces. This 5th house is about creativity. It's about what you're birthing. Are you birthing from your soul? Are you birthing from your higher self? Are you in communication with the entirety of you, not just your body, not just your ego? Are you really checking in with all different aspects of you? It's kind of multi-dimensional. So I would absolutely say it is time to get your multi-dimensional self on, and tune into your multi-sensory pleasure, your multi-sensory creativity. So, if you've wanted to be creative recently and you felt stopped and like you couldn't quite do it, now is the time to get there, but not just think of it in physical terms or mental terms or just heart-based terms. Think of it in terms of, is this on track for my soul's benefit? Is this in line with my karma? Is this in line with my purpose? And is this going to lift me up? If it's not going to lift you up, it's not really going to go anywhere. So this is a seed point. This new moon energy is a seed point, encouraging you to be on purpose, like lift yourself up on purpose. And Mars is here to support you on your journey. Mars is back in the game. Now, Mars, as you can see, is also supported by Saturn and Mercury. Now, Mars was in a pretty formidable pattern, last year, in particular with this lovely trine to Saturn. It creates a lot of courage. It creates a lot of determination to push on and to do things. So if you've got a goal that is much bigger than you think is possible, don't give up. Just give it a go. Now that Mars has gone direct again, I'm pretty sure you've got the weight and the excitement of 2 months worth of creativity that you're kind of rushing to get out now. And like whatever you've paused your life about, now is the time to sort of move it forwards exponentially. And Saturn is there to pace you and to encourage you. In fact, I would really recommend that you look at what you've learned during this time. I mean, like me, I had overwhelmed myself by taking on way more than I could achieve. And Saturn here is saying, have you learnt your lessons? If you have, I'm giving you the energy to move forwards exponentially. And with Mercury here, Mercury and Mars are working beautifully together. Now, like the first or second is pretty interesting, and I just want to draw your attention to this whole area. So this is from the first from the new moon, and then by the second week, when we're going into this first quarter phase from the 7th, you'll see it's all moved over. It's got a lot more focused in this area. Let me just flick between the two again so you can see it, where the sun and obviously the moon's over here now, but this area here is an area of massive development. Wherever this falls in anyone's chart, it's creating a huge development, and it's the end of one story and the beginning of a new story. I'm going to be talking a lot about this. In fact, the new astrological year starts on March the 20th, and I'm going to be going to town on that with massive forecasts out there. So, don't expect to get it all in here, but this is significant, because the North Node and Neptune are in a conjunction, really showing that we are wanting to create from our soul. We are wanting to create a life of purpose and meaning. The real purpose of life is becoming apparent. And, I think the changes that are going on around the world right now are getting us really up close and personal with what we believe in. And it's so funny because there are so many different varying beliefs that people are holding right now, but they're holding them with utter conviction. But I have to believe, because I know people with lots of different belief patterns. I love them all. I know that every one of them is coming from a good place, and often coming from a place of where there's been mystery and where there's been confusion, representing by Neptune, and also where our ideals have come in to try and clear the confusion that we see and try to get clearer. So that, most people around the world right now are somehow tuned in and turned on and tapped into the ideas of how can I be clearer and how can I have ideals that are supporting clarity. There's a real need to kind of come out of the fog, come out of the mystery. We can see that the mystery does serve us somehow because, it's almost like we've been blinded, and now we are coming to a time where we're going to be able to see a lot more clearly. And I think it's going to be like an awakening of sorts. These are really, really magnificent times, and not magnificent if you are really fearful. Obviously it won't seem magnificent, but when I say magnificent, I mean magnificent in the scope of what's about to happen, and how everyone's coming into a time of great personal change as we're coming out of this real Pisces area and coming into this real Aries focus. There's going to be some real big shifts, and people are going to start moving forwards, in particular with your dreams. Now, given that we're coming to this Aries time, which is also Mars based, very much, we do have a bit of a sort of connection, the Scorpio and the Aries energy. This is going to move us forwards too, for sure. This is exciting. But Mercury in a conjunction with the North Node and also Neptune, I think, is helping us to really hone in and drill down to what we're passionate about, really know what lifts us up, and know what we want to create, and what we want to create from a sense of oneness and from a sense of this is right for my soul, this is why I am here. And then as the energies shove off and move into Aries, we're going to get the chance to put those ideas into action. And I see that what's going on in this 2-week period is we've got our seed points, we've got our ideas of what we want to create. We're in a very, very creative place. And over the next couple of weeks, boy, are we going to be going into action, real hardcore action. Now, one of the key times I really want to point out, I've already gone past it, is the Sun trine Mars. This is big, sorry, there it is. The Sun trine Mars. In truth, this whole period, the sun is actually in a trine with Mars. The moon was in a trine with Mars, Saturn, Mercury, etc., right from the start. But as we're going through and coming into the second week of this forecast, the sun is exactly in a trine with Mars. And you can see, the sun is also coming into a conjunction with Saturn. This really is showing that we mean business. Now, one of the offshoots of this, I think, is that we are possibly going to be quite single-minded, quite hyper-focused on what it is we want to achieve. So I think it is important to plan some kind of break so you come up for air. But to be fair, it feels like we've been held back for a couple of months. We've been holding ourselves back. I've definitely been doing that. But whatever is going, it's like some doorways have opened. It's time to push on through. Now, whatever was going on for you around the 6th of December, if you came up against a crisis, one thing I noticed is when me and Mr. M were falling out around that time, I mean, he's got a lot of Scorpio in his chart too. So we were both affected. Now that they've just cleared, those same aspects have come up again. So I think we're being tested a little bit from what presented at the early December, what was presenting as a problem, what was presenting as part of our will that we weren't expressing, that we weren't taking action on. Where were we not prepared to be courageous, take action, and stand in our power? Wherever that wasn't going on back then, we're now getting another chance. But again, if you're feeling insecure or not quite courageous enough to stand in your power and your potency, then I think these things are going to come up again. Now, we're not quite out of the water with the difficult Mars energy. You see, during this time and leading up into this time, actually, from late October, Mars was coming into an opposition with Pluto, actually kind of in the similar position that he's in now. You know, he's approaching, coming into an opposition, and he was exactly in an opposition with Pluto. Pluto was just here at that time. Mars was just here around the 3rd of November, just before the American elections. And then shortly after, Pluto went into Aquarius on the 20th of November. And then Mars and Pluto came into an opposition on the 3rd of January. And then, of course, you know, this whole this whole Mars retrograde has kind of stopped us in our tracks. So yes, we're moving forwards again, but we are moving back into this final opposition between Mars and Pluto. And so again, what I was saying about whatever you were facing in yourself around the 6th of December, how it's coming up right now. But what I would also say is whatever you were facing in yourself at the end of October, beginning of November, that is still to be completely resolved and to find peace with and to integrate the energies of around the end of April. It doesn't fully clear until after the 27th of April. So it's still some time to go on that. And, you know, Pluto and Mars are the joint rulers of Scorpio. So you've got your two rulers. We've got our two rulers in opposition to each other across the 4th and the 10th house. I mean, these are big houses. You know, on the one hand, we're wanting to push into our career. And then at the other hand, we're feeling that there's manipulations and control going on at home, stopping us, preventing us. So this is still something that we're working through. And whatever you've been learning around the 6th of December, it's time to kind of step into it. So really, I think this is all about your potency. How can you be more potent right now? And I think this journey from the new moon in Pisces, all about your creation until we get to this full moon total lunar eclipse in Virgo. This is taking us on a whole journey of potency. As we come up to this this total lunar eclipse on the 14th, we are coming into a time of co-creation. So it's not our own creation now, but it's, you know, the crisis of creating with other people. So what I do think is over this next 2 weeks, as you get moving again, as I get moving again, being passionate about the things we're passionate about, we're going to come up with, there's going to be lots of other offers. There's going to be lots of things coming in, lots of people wanting to play and to get excited themselves. Things are going to move quite fast, I think, around the world. So yeah, all that brings, the sort of chaos of lots of people coming in. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So keep your wits about you, get really clear about what you're passionate about, and know that by the time you're coming to this full moon, if you're feeling interference from other people, again, that will be also highlighting the impending Mars and Pluto opposition, the sort of interference of you being able to do what you want to do. I think that's going to come up as a theme for the total lunar eclipse. So get in your power, get in your potency, look at whatever you're too afraid to look at. Really look at it so that, so that you feel like you're starting to assume ownership of your own life again. And I think that's really important. So there you go, Scorpio. I hope that's helpful. Now, here's an extra little tidbit for you. I've been playing, I'm getting a bit creative. I've created a relationship, and I've also created a career and ambition forecast just for the Scorpio energy for this exact time. So if you would like to have a look at those, check out the links below because they're online. They're completely available for you to look at. And, you know, in the romance one, we could call it, I'll be looking at how to increase intimacy with your partners, how to enjoy your relationship a lot more, how to deal with any mishaps as they come up, which they do. And also, you know, are there any pivot points coming up in terms of your career and how you might negotiate that? So watch out for those. They are there for you to check into. So anyway, lots and lots of love to you. Have a great couple of weeks and hopefully I'll be able to keep up the schedule. Anyway, lots of love to you and catch you real soon. Bye for now.